Shalom. In this video, I'm responding to a young lady named Leslie. In her email, she asks, how is it possible that the Jewish people reject the proof or evidence of Jesus being the Messiah when the New Testament reports that 500 and more people witnessed him after he had been resurrected? 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 5, it says, and Paul is writing this, that Jesus appeared to Kepha, that is Peter, then to the 12. After that he appeared to more than 500 brethren at one time, most of whom remain until now, but some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James, then to all the apostles. I question, why is James not considered among the 12 in the beginning of this passage? But in any case, there are a number of important factors that should be noticed in this verse. One, why didn't Paul refer to this mass witness of Jesus after his resurrection in Acts chapter 13 verse 31? Certainly the mass witness that here he's referring to would have been much more impressive to the audience that he was preaching to in Acts chapter 13 verse 31. Also notice that other than the mere fact that the more than 500 people saw him after his resurrection, other than that, no other miraculous event is recorded. The only miraculous report is that they saw him. And note that the verse says that 500 saw him at once. This means that the great majority of the 500 who saw him at a distance. It is impossible that 500 or more people saw one individual up close. Now, if Jesus' identity could be mistaken even when seen up close, as is reported in John chapter 20, then all the more so could his identity or someone else's be mistaken when viewed from a distance. If one was able to mistake Jesus for someone else, even when face to face with him, then it is certainly possible that one could mistake someone else's identity for Jesus's, especially at a distance. All that it is needed is someone who could be mistaken for him. And John chapter 20 gives us this man. Let's read John chapter 20 verse 14 through verse 16. At this she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not realize that it was Jesus. Note, this is after his death and burial. She did not realize that this individual was Jesus. He asked her, the one whom she didn't realize was Jesus. Apparently, they were close to each other. He asked her, "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it you are looking for?" Thinking he was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where have you put him, and I will get him." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned toward him and cried out in Aramaic, "Rabboni." Now, how could it be that she, knowing Jesus so well, mistook this individual for a gardener and not Jesus? Perhaps they looked very similar. Even though they were right next to each other, how could it be? Could it really have been the gardener and not Jesus? But simply wanting to play on her faith and her unstable emotional state? Could be that this gardener also believed in Jesus. Could be that there was a conspiracy, as the New Testament itself reports. The question is up for debate, obviously. This leads me to another point. Is resurrection proof of the New Testament claims? Even if Jesus did revive from the dead, this wouldn't prove all the teachings of the New Testament. It doesn't prove that he's the Messiah. God can revive anyone from the dead. And being an individual who has deeply researched the New Testament, I know that standard Christianity does not represent the beliefs of the original Christians. How could it be that Jesus is the first fruits of the resurrection when even the New Testament reports that there had already been resurrections, such as Lazarus? And in the Old Testament there are also examples of resurrections, such as regarding Elijah and the young child. None of this would prove even Jesus' own teachings, because God commanded in the Torah, in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 32, into chapter 13, into verse 6, first stating as a preclude to the prohibition and the caution with regard to prophets and false prophets. God commanded in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 32, that the commandments should not be added to, they will not be added to, and they will not be taken away from. Something that Christianity has definitely done. Then, following in this line of reasoning, God commands that if there are prophets or dreamers of dreams among you, and they lead you to serve other gods, ultimately you see in verse 6, to seduce you away from the way in which God has commanded you, at that time the commandments of the Torah, then he's not to be heeded, even if he does signs and wonders. For this reason, anyone who knows the Torah given by God to humanity will know that even if we see Jesus descending from the sky and he tells us to abandon the law of Moses because he has come with the fulfillment of the law and the gospel, we will know that he is a false prophet. And God's commandment, which is an everlasting commandment, is that not only should this person not be heeded, but he should be killed. Whatever I command you, you shall be careful to do. You should not add to nor take away from it. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises among you and gives you a sign and a wonder, and the sign and the wonder comes true, concerning which he spoke, saying, let us go after other gods whom we have not known, and let us serve them. You shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God is testing you, to find out if you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall follow the Lord your God and fear him, and you shall keep his commandments. Listen to his voice, serve him, and cling to him. But that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has counseled rebellion against the Lord your God, who brought you from the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of slavery, to seduce you from the way in which the Lord your God has commanded you to walk. This is the reason why the resurrection of Jesus is insignificant to those who know the Torah of God. Shalom uvracha.